SANAK. Nice word.
I personally feel physically sick when I hear my voice.
That's what we should have called the podcast. Cars, guns, fists.
3, 2, time to tango.
I am the most complete fighter in the world. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
Stick around. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Dodge this.
Welcome to 2022 and episode 5 of Dodge This, an action movie podcast. Welcome back if you're an old stalwart of the pod. I don't know if that's possible after 4 episodes, but welcome forward if you're a new listener. My name is Simon Fielder. I'm a comedian, I'm a human, and I'm in Amsterdam.
Oh, that's lovely. You're really nailing the points I think any new listener wants to hear. Well, I'm listening to this podcast. Amsterdam. Got it.
There you go. It just adds like a little bit of extra special sauce onto the already jubilant pie.
Well, onto that pie, I shall add my notes. I don't want to finish it.
Pile it onto the pie.
Hello, I'm Matthew Highton. I am, I guess, the co-host or Simon's friend. I don't know which way. I'd put that first.
Keep it professional, mate.
I'd like to think co-host first, friend second.
Yeah.
We both love action movie podcasts. And now we have our own. That's the way I like to think about it.
It's an action movie podcast about action movie podcasts. At this
we
point.
don't watch the films.
The snake is eating its tail.
No, we love action films. Is the bullet points here? Bullet points.
God, there's just
Please
so
cut that.
much
Please
for the
cut
listener
that.
in the
Please
first
cut
minute.
that. You can trim everything out from me. Actually,
I don't have the time to get into the nitty gritty on this.
Let's get into the films.
It's a new year and it's January, which is, historically not a place where some of the biggest films hit our screens. But it's important for us to, before we get into the new exciting stuff, well, I always like to find out what else we've seen outside of the thing that is the title of this podcast. You've been on at me for weeks to watch The Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it.
And
I liked it.
It's great. It's the best.
Yeah, I liked it.
It's the best.
I think it's very difficult to argue with a $190 million Hollywood movie that has a giant starfish as the bad guy. Like, I don't really know what your angle to have a problem with it could be, really. Like, it very much seems to go, this is what the Suicide Squad is, and we are going to put it all on screen. And you're just like, yeah, sure, okay, I guess that guy's a shark. What? I can't argue with it.
Take away that stuff away, though. The reason it works and the reason why the old one didn't is it does have that feel of a, like, Predator, Aliens. This is a team of vagabonds. They've got a very simple goal. What could go wrong? And it's great. And then they very self-aware. They play with it. It's absolutely beautiful. I think it is my favourite action film last year. I've said it before.
Really?
So again, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I enjoyed it. I thought it had it was funny. I thought I liked that, like you say, this sort of very teamwork. It was a real ensemble, which was good because I think this is going to be contentious, but I don't love Harley Quinn as a character. I feel like she's the most cartoony aspect of it, and it doesn't quite sit for me alongside. I know there is a shark and a lot of very cartoony stuff.
A shark. Do you know who plays King Shark?
Is it Sylvester Stallone?
It is Sylvester Stallone. Well done.
He was on the opening titles, and then it took me until about the end to go, he was the shark. He was the shark. For some reason, also, Taika Waititi listed in the opening credits, basically a cameo. Why is he listed? Why is he in the credits?
Because he's Hollywood golden boy at the moment.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not going to talk about Suicide Squad all the way through, but I'm glad you watched
I did
it.
enjoy it. I hadn't seen the other one, so I didn't have anything to compare it to. But
go back and then you'll see why everyone was excited.
yeah, I can't. I just for context, I haven't got time to watch a bad movie to go, yep, you were all right. I'll just take it on your word. I enjoyed it.
I've got to ask, have you got any further with Cobra Kai?
Yes, I have watched a few more episodes of season 2, and I'll say this: I'm enjoying it as a sort of cheesy high school romance. I think the more episodes I watch, Matthew, the more concerned I am about you promising that the end of season 2 is one of the best pieces of action cinema you've ever seen. I feel like there's no way it's not going to disappoint me.
I said one of the best TV fight scenes. It's one of the best TV fight scenes ever.
The action in it so far is fine.
I can't wait till you get to the end of season 2.
I'm ready to be blown away. Like if they've completely turned it on its head and it's like, holy shit.
I've built it up too much. I've built it up.
Yeah. But I am enjoying it as a show. Have you seen anything outside of the action world?
No, outside the action world, what have I watched? I've been watching Archive 81 on Netflix, which I love a lot. It's sort of a very slow horror mystery. Has a very House of Leaves vibe, if you've ever read one of the best books ever created.
It makes me sound like an arsehole because not having read it.
It's not a great work of literature in that sense, but it's one of the most interesting concepts ever, which I won't go into because we could spend days talking about that. So mainly just been that because I've been quite busy.
Fair play.
We watched something else, but it's gone, so it can't have been great.
Got suckered into watching a few episodes of the Netflix show Cheer.
I think I would love that, but I can't bring myself to watch a program about teenage cheerleaders without feeling a little bit grotty, even if I watch that with my wife.
I think it's safe. I think it's safe from being cancelled.
I think I'm going to get so hooked into the rooting for them.
It's really good. It's so stressful. They are just flying through the air, and oh my god. It's very stressful, and I cried at almost every episode. And then I sort of mentioned it on social media, and a load of people were like, "Oh my god, have you heard about this?" And I'm like, "No, I'm on season 1. Apparently, something big kicks off."
I'm gonna watch it.
Nobody spoiler me before I get there.
I'm thinking I have a big soft spot in my watch place for genres like Step Up and Bring It On. So I think it'll really hammer home to some lost part of me that never became a cheerleader.
100%. And it is it's like a documentary sort of slash reality. I would say more documentary, less sort of structured reality. Anyway, enjoyable.
That's your take.
That's my put it on the poster.
Enjoyable.
For season 3,
Simon
guys.
Fielder. Should we talk about the trailers quickly? Because we've got so much film to discuss in this.
There's a lot of films. Let's press the imaginary button that sets off the Rube Goldberg device that makes my finger press the button that plays this jingle.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Again, you can't see it, but he presses it in the air.
Some of it has to be for an audience of 1, Matthew. I mean, to be fair, I'm not sure how many people are listening to this, but I hope it's more than 1. As we say, January, not a huge time for unleashing the big old trailers, but a couple of them have snuck through.
Yeah.
Tell me what you dug up today, Matthew.
I found a trailer for a film called KGF Chapter 2.
And this is fitting as well in terms of what we've watched for this episode.
Yeah. It's an Indian... It's main. I'd say it comes mainly in action, but it does look like it has some historical stuff to it because I found out it is loosely based on some real stuff. Which I'll be honest, I'm not going to try and summarize after my 2 minutes of very fastly Wikipedia.
You don't think you're going to cover that in enough depth?
I mean, it's loosely.
Don't risk it.
No, I can't at all. Basically, it's the reason I found this was when I was looking for any new action trailers I'd missed since the start of this year. This was released in the first week of January, this trailer, and it's got millions upon millions of views. And apparently the first chapter, which came out a few years ago in 2018, is supposed to be very, very good. And it has made me go, I'll give that a watch at some point. But yeah, it looks just full on balls to the wall.
Yeah.
Guns, ammo, romance.
I think if something that we've learned over the last couple of weeks is that Indian cinema loves an epic, and they do not fuck about.
But it looks beautiful as well. It looks like it's shot really well. But yeah,
this looks like it's going to be quite enormous. Quite enormous.
Yeah.
Very little given away in the trailer, apart from a big man and a big gun.
Sure, if you watch chapter 1, they'll give a little bit of detail
Context.
to lead you
I
in.
hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it does say smoking kills on the screen during the trailer while someone is smoking.
Yeah.
Like that.
What you got for me?
Well, the only real notable one that came out in the last few weeks is I thought Liam Neeson had hung up his Hardman hat, but he's back in a movie called Blacklight, where he's... Does it matter? I don't know. He's like used to work for the government, and now he's got to punch some people in a way. I feel like I've maybe done it a disservice, but at the same time, do you need to know more before you go in and watch it?
If you enjoyed Taken, you will enjoy Liam Neeson in Blacklight. That seems to be the sell on it. So
I mean, in fairness, I think a lot of quite bad films have sailed by on if you enjoyed Taken, including both Taken sequels. If you enjoyed Taken, which, in spite of some quite questionable politics, was an enjoyable action film, you probably won't enjoy both of the sequels and several Liam Neeson films afterwards that are not action movies.
I'll say this about the Blacklight trailer. I've never seen an actor to do an American accent but still sound exactly like their themselves. Like, because he sounds like Liam Neeson doing an American accent. Like, I think the only other actor I can think of is Michael Caine, who has that ability to do a completely different accent but sound exactly like themselves.
Statham.
Does he do it? Yeah, I guess he does.
I think it's the same. It's like, is he doing an accent, or has he just been in America long enough now that is his accent?
Yeah.
Is Liam Neeson ever doing an accent, or is he just doing like hard man Irish, sort of mid-Atlantic gruff? We'll probably watch it though, won't we? Let's face it.
We will. What we won't watch for my last pick of the trailers is Moonfall.
Oh boy.
What's he called? Who did Independence Day? Yeah, Emmerich. Why does he hate Earth?
Every few years, the studio's just like, give him another 100 million and let him do the thing where he smashes down all the monuments.
Yeah. I've never forgiven him since The Day After Tomorrow, which is up there with one of my most loathed films.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
I saw it in the cinema, and I just sort of I don't remember hating it or loving it. I just remember it being like, yeah. It was alright, I guess.
Remember stepping out of that, like in terms of I was watching it and it brought me out of the film. Stepping out of that film when they were in a library, and to keep warm, they started burning books, which yes, powerful symbolism. And no one looked around and went, "What about all these shelves and these tables and these bits of wood that will burn quite a lot longer?" Yeah, we could use some of the pages from the books as kindling. Oh no, look at us. What have we reduced ourselves to? We're burning words. You literally don't have to burn words. I get the poignant message of burning literature to survive and losing your humanity and all that stuff. But again, just take that shelf off. Let's put it in a bin.
This was pre-Bear Grylls era, though, wasn't it? You know, we weren't all trained in survival skills like we are now, Matthew.
Yeah.
Obviously, if that sort of thing happened, we'd be
fire
fine.
quite a new concept to humanity.
Okay, well, it sounds like that's going to be one of your must-watches of 2022, the return of Roland Emmerich smashing the earth to bits.
Yeah.
There's a few others. I think, you know, since there's not loads for us to watch, we could just highlight a couple of the big boys coming out in the year. Top Gun feels like it's been coming out for 3 years now.
Yeah. It feels.
I think this trailer did come out in 2020.
Yeah, Top Gun Maverick.
Looks like it could be good, it could be The Matrix Resurrections. I
do wonder how especially in a pro-Trump, where left and right politics, because, you know, Top Gun is essentially a propaganda film, but it's done in such a cheesy 80s way. We love it. Like, does Top Gun Maverick have the soundtrack to carry Top Gun Maverick is what I'm wondering.
It's tough these days, isn't it?
I'm excited.
You can't carry a film on a soundtrack.
You can.
Although James Gunn might disagree.
Yeah.
given the amount of needle drops in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah. I do love Top Gun though, so I am excited about that.
Yeah, it looks like, Cruise being Cruise and some pretty interesting aerial photography, I will say, in the trailer. Like, you're a bit like, I don't know how you make
that's
that
it.
stuff
In the
exciting.
age of
also, what is the plot? Who are they? Who they
fighting?
Who they having
Who
a
knows?
dogfight with?
The moon.
No idea.
They're fighting the moon.
Oh, no.
The Batman. I'm very excited about the Batman.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned that yet, have we? And I have got more excited with each trailer, I have to say.
Yeah, me too.
And you're the comic book nerd out of both of us, so I imagine you have a lot to say about the various
I do,
Batman.
and again, I won't go into it so far, especially as I've watched that trailer probably more than any human being after editing it the other week. But I'm very excited about that. And I'm even excited about seeing what the next Jurassic World's like, because they're not my favourite films. They'll never be Jurassic Park, but I do enjoy going to the cinema to watch one of the Jurassics. As,
one of the new JWs.
Yeah, that's what I heard a kid refer to it as on my way into the cinema when he was telling his little brother. It was really cute. It was like, so this isn't the first of the Jurassics. There is Jurassic 1, Jurassic 2, Jurassic 3. Yeah.
We're so old. I actually think I'm one behind on the Jurassics.
There's 2 Jurassic Worlds, 3 Jurassic Parks, and technically 2 Jurassic 5s if you count the band. But there you go. Can't be great for their Google rankings, can it?
Very strong. I've only seen one of the worlds, actually. So is the second world worth watching?
It's all right. It's got moments. Like, it's not great. I mean, once you've got away from Jurassic Park being a perfect film, where do you go?
I think the first Jurassic World, good Lord, that sort of surprised me because I went in thinking this will be horseshit. And I was like, no, it was actually all right.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I've just looked at the time. We really should get into the 2 mega films.
Whew. It is a double whammy this week, this fortnight for international listeners. That is a 2-week period of time, as referred to in the United Kingdom. This podcast is fortnightly.
Wait, what? Is that a UK only thing?
Yeah, I think like in America they don't call it a fortnight.
What? Wait, we're going to have to spend the podcast.
Oh, no.
What?
Yeah, that fortnight isn't a global...
So every time I say to an American every fortnight, they just think I'm waiting for the new season of like Fortnite. They have no idea that...
Before that game came out, that was not a thing.
That has blown my mind.
I'm so glad I've blown your mind before we've even got into the movies. This is great stuff.
Do you want to introduce the movies we're watching or have watched?
Yeah, shall I do the I'll activate the second Rube Goldberg device.
Oh, boys! I'm back!
If you've ever seen Foley live, you can imagine how enjoyable that was to watch.
Oh, I put so much effort into the jingles. I feel like I still don't know if you've even heard them.
I can't
play them live. You can't listen back to the episodes. So you've literally never heard all the production.
I feel and I hope this doesn't happen to listeners, but I personally feel physically sick when I hear my voice. I hope that is just me.
Oh, I hope it's just you as well, because I have to sit through it for like another time round when I edit this.
I really shouldn't put these on. We've got to talk about these films, Simon.
We've got to. Okay, I'm going to preface it with this. There's the one film that has been on the list since last year is a movie called SANAK, which is an Indian action movie. And after we talked about the trailer for RRR last time, all the time before, there was a bit of chat about that on Twitter, and then there was some back and forth. Some people were recommending movies as a gateway to Indian cinema. One of those movies was a movie called War. So I used that as a gateway, watched that first, then watched SANAK. And Matt, you did the same thing, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I've watched both in the last 24 hours.
That is a lot.
And War took most of those 24 hours up. It was
so the reason I say this is because, and I can't speak for you, Matthew, but I have zero history with Indian cinema. I'm going to say at the top of this, apologies if I get anything wrong. I'm not trying to be culturally insensitive. Please educate me, but without yelling at me in all caps on social media. I've opened this Pandora's box and I'm very excited to investigate what else it has in store. But if I get any of the details wrong or pronounce anything wrong, I'm learning that there's different regions of India and each has their own cinema. There's Bollywood and Tollywood and all these different bits. So as soon as I can read one of the longest Wikipedia entries I've ever seen, then hopefully I will feel furnished with slightly more info on this. But we have already put in nearly 5 hours watching 2 films to get us into this. One of which is War. So I think we should start there because that was my introduction to Bollywood action cinema.
I really love how you have just basically skimmed over the fact that neither of us know the biggest film industry in the world. I've again, like Simon, I don't know very much about very many Bollywood films. Like I've watched some over the years, but I've never got heavy into it. However, that said, over the last few years, there's definitely a trend, certainly over here in the UK, and I've seen the same in America. One of the things with Netflix and streaming and the internet, you get more things sent your way. And I have been very much saying I wanted to do a deep dive of these types of action films for ages. And I think what's good about watching the 2, and I think it is good we've done 2 back to back, so I feel these are both prime examples of opposite ends of an action spectrum for
fair
Indian cinema right now. Because I think they're very much like you've got sort of, I don't know, SANAK, I'd say, falls more into that sort of gritty, The Raid type film that you might watch. Whereas, I don't know, War feels more like The Fast and the Furious. Like, I think that's your sort of extremes of action cinema that I'm used to. But
and also I think on the sort of barometer of Bollywood to Hollywood, SANAK sits at more of a sort of Hollywood end. Like culturally, there's not loads in it that you're going to go, whoa, what? Whereas War has 2 music video sequences during the movie.
Which again, like because again, I've seen Bollywood films but never really watched Bollywood action. So to see how they like put that sort of very Bollywood style dance in the middle of something, it's incredible. Like, I generally, if you told me the film first handing, you'd laid the plot out, you went, and in the middle there's this big MTV video, I would have gone, how's that fit in? But watching it brought me so much joy. Those guys,
you just sort of go with it.
I genuinely have not watched a film since the Step Up franchise that has made me wish I put more time into dancing. Fuck, can those guys move?
I don't know where to start with the stars of War. Is it possible to sum this film up, Matthew? Actually, you summed it up quite well when we were texting back and forth last night when you were saying how long it was, and I was like, it's like 7 movies in one, and you were like, I think you said something like it's like the trailer for every movie that came out in 2004.
Yeah, it really feels has that sort of vibe,
squished into one film, which I think maybe add 10 years onto that because it does have some quite severe nods to the sort of latter Fast and Furious franchise. But it is an extraordinary movie. I mean, it starts and it just doesn't let up. There's probably 9 action sequences and 2 huge scale song and dance set pieces in this movie.
And they don't seed plot. The plot comes and then it's part of the plot and then it's very integral to the plot. Like they don't shuffle it out. They go, you're going to deal with this chunk of plot, with this bit of backstory. Then you're going to deal with this. 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 And you're like, all right, I'll try and keep that up. But in the middle, the action sequences are mind-blowing at times. Like, I really want to do a deep dive into how they make action in Bollywood, because sometimes it did feel like they're in front of a green screen. Yeah. And I don't know, I genuinely can't tell from someone who like loves film. I can't tell if it is something they do, which obviously Hollywood does as well, to stitch the action together. But I also can't tell if it's the way they light people, because it always feels like they put a light on even outside when they're in a thing. You feel like you've got a chunk of artificial light on the actors. So sometimes like there's a scene near the end where they're in Sydney I was like, I don't know if they've actually gone to Sydney here. or if they've
100%
just-
they were not in Sydney. In
Yeah.
that bit.
Uh,
Yeah,
like-
I know that the exact bit you meant. I was like, it's good. It's very good green screen. It's very good green screen, but I don't think they went to Sydney to shoot that one scene. But yeah, there are other bits as well where it's sort of Bond-like in its globe trotting, you know, and I think most of it that is on a location is there. I think the bit at the beginning is in like Turkey or Morocco, and
There's a bit.
and you're
There's a whole chunk in Marrakesh.
Sorry, yeah. That is all like, well, I mean, that's some pretty big sweeping aerial shots of it that seems like they're there. And then they're in Lisbon at one point, and then and then literally within minutes they are in Porto.
The end in the Arctic.
That's right. They're in the Arctic for some reason towards the end.
What I love about this film is they've picked the locations with the idea that there's going to be an action scene there. So like they thought what they wanted this to look like, and then they built the action scene around it. So like it doesn't really matter where, like where they go isn't integral to the film. Like it isn't like I need to go here to get this person. Like for some reason they go to Portugal to get an Indian doctor who is for some reason working with the Portuguese space program, which I didn't know existed till this film.
I haven't Googled it. Couldn't
Yeah.
say for sure if it's a real thing, but it's an excuse to go and film some cool stuff in Lisbon on that massive bridge. Which, as I was watching this, I was like, I don't remember that being in Lisbon, and my girlfriend was like, "Oh, that's in Porto." Like, oh, those motorbikes go pretty fast.
Well, this is my thing with Marrakesh. I've been to Marrakesh. I don't remember it being by the sea. But he runs to the sea in about 10 minutes.
It's like those bits in the Richard Curtis films where people walk from like Big Ben to like Greenwich in 2 minutes. And we're all just like, actually, that's not how London's laid out. And everyone else watching it doesn't
There's
give
a
shit.
thing in Thor Dark World where they're against the time and they have to get on the tube. And you're like, well, absolutely, you're not going to make this, are you? Even if it's just 2 stops.
I feel like we haven't really said what this film is about at all, really. It's about... Oh, God, I'll start it, and you just... When I seem like I'm flagging, please just chip in. Essentially, it is about 2 of the best-looking men that exist in the world.
Unbelievable.
Being the most...
Hrithik Roshan looks...
Yes.
I said this to you on text. He looks like they loaded in good-looking men into an algorithm and he came out the other side. Like, he doesn't look real. He's that, like, chiseled.
He's so ripped, and he's in his 40s, I think. Like,
I think he's
don't
I think he's
even
in
know.
his 50s. Or he's coming up to it, at least. Yeah.
Whatever he is doing, I want it. Bottle it.
I think he's eating other men. Just absorbing their best bit.
He looks incredible. And the other guy, is his name Tiger?
Yeah, it's Tiger Shroff, I think
Tiger
it is.
Shroff, who is like the young upstart. So there's a
Khalid is
older-
his character, and Kabir is the other one for anyone.
Hrithik plays an older agent who it seems has gone off the rails, and the young guy comes in to catch him.
But wait,
But also, we hop around in time quite a lot, and there's a lot of stuff that is very confusing.
so the young guy, Kabir, is... Kabir is... Khalid is Tiger, isn't he? Khalid is Tiger, Kabir is, already I'm losing it. So Khalid is Kabir's protege, but he's become his protege to prove that he can be trusted and restore honor to his family after Kabir assassinated his father for being a traitor, and the tarnish...
The family name is tarnished. Yeah.
Family name is tarnished by being a traitor. So he comes in to prove himself. He's not trusted at first, wins his trust, and then turns out his new father figure and becomes the traitor. Or does he?
Does he?
There were so many, and I don't want to spoil anything, because this is on Amazon Prime. If you're in the UK, I assume it is in Europe, because you watch it on that.
I actually used a VPN, but it is on Amazon Prime US, I believe.
Yeah, so it is up there. I don't want to... I would really encourage you to watch this. The amount of twists in this, because the first half long. It felt long. Like, even though
Yeah.
there's a lot of action, I wasn't really sure. But then, the second half, they start unfurling it. And there are some big twists in it. And
Good Lord, there is...
completely didn't see him coming.
Because it's... When it happens, I was like, what the actual fuck? But then I couldn't be mad at it because within the confines of the film, it did sort of make sense.
Well, yeah. But that's the thing. We've not even explained the plot still. So you've got that plot going on at the root of it. But at the end of the day, Kabir wants to catch this baddie called Ilyashi, who is apparently the biggest threat to India ever. If they don't stop Ilyashi, India's going to be opened up to terrorism and ruined. And they don't really say who the villain is in this, but they hint that it's terrorists. That's always the underlining threat.
This is the generic terrorists.
Yeah. So they're trying to get this guy, but the whole operation, about an hour into the film, the whole operation, it goes tits up. And that's when it really gets going.
Boy. And then suddenly you're in a flashback. At one point, there's you said what's funny is that you were like the first half, and some people might think, well, how do you know exactly where halfway through the movie would be? And I don't want to be culturally insensitive because I guess this is probably a common thing in Indian cinema. It just says interval on the screen, and in my head, there's people walking around selling snacks and sweets, and it's like the absolute dreamy vision of cinema that cinema used to be, where there's just families having a great time and you buy popcorn and there's an interval.
So
That absolutely blows my mind.
just to tell you how, because this plot, it if you're not paying attention, it doesn't wait for you. At the same time, it doesn't move on either.
It doesn't
So
matter
when
in
the
any way.
interval hit, the scene that it comes back into,
Oh my God.
you have no information at this point in the film why this scene is happening, and it does
I
tell
thought-
you later.
I thought
I
it was a
thought it was a
commercial.
little infomercial or
I
something.
genuinely thought it was like they got one of the stars of the films to do a thing
Yeah.
where they tell kids how to be good.
That's exactly
it made
what-
no sense.
It's exactly what I thought, because the tone shift was so dramatic. And like
Insane.
they shot it differently, and the music was different. And then it's only because of the scene after I was like, oh, we're in the present day, but we're going to find out why he's doing that because of a flashback.
That is
like,
literally the
Jesus Christ.
exact same journey I went on. I was like, what is happening right now?
So going into this film, know that you don't have to follow it completely to understand it. Also, you will follow it. It's not gonna blow your mind. The twists are great. What
Yeah.
we need to focus on is, even though there is a lot of CG put into them, some of the action scenes are phenomenal. They are some phenomenal, and that is all that, again, our holy trinity. There's car, there's hand-to-hand, there's gun. And there is like so many beautiful bits. There is a bit where a guy tries to kick another guy on the floor, and he basically does the worm over their leg. And it is one of the slickest things I have ever seen in my life.
There's so many great moves in this movie, and I mean that in the dance and in the martial arts sense, because when Tiger Shroff kicks, sometimes he looks like a ballerina.
Yeah.
Like he spins and his arms move in such a way that I'm not sure if he's a trained dancer or martial artist or both.
I get a sense both. The guy, honestly, he is, it just looks effortless.
Effortless. What I love about this, and I think we touched upon it maybe last episode, maybe before, was you talking about Godzilla versus King Kong, and how in the new year I want to learn how to put my brain in the right mode to go into films like that. This film, I think, unlocked it for me. This film was like, if you don't get on board with this in the first half an hour, you're just going to be like, what is happening? What is this film? But like, if you do, and you're just like, yeah, basically what they're doing is they've got like a notepad and they've written down all the cool things that have happened in action cinema in the last 10 years. And they're like, we should do that.
Yeah.
We should do that. You know, that thing that John Woo did in Mission Impossible 2? We should do that.
Also, we should have the most slow-mo in a film since the 300.
Every John Woo film.
There is so many like postured shots in this, to the point where, like I said before, they clearly come up with the image and the action and then work backwards.
And then reverse engineer it, yeah.
There are bits where characters will step into frame just to have that lineup shot. That's going
the hero shots are incredible.
There's hero shots when they're driving. They cut back and forth to hero shots. It's incredible. There's a bit, and I think, honestly, if I had to do an action replay and pull out a moment from this, there is a bit where a bike comes up from behind a cliff just as a helicopter explodes behind it. And it is quintessentially, if you, again, loaded action films into a computer and said to the computer, algorithm, give me the most action image you can. This is the image that comes out. It's glossy. The colors are like popping off the screen.
Oh my God, everything is like so oversaturated.
Yeah.
They look like Terminators. I don't know what they do to their eyes. I was like, that cannot be his natural eye color. They're so like, the grade on it is
the
is
vibe
like
is so vibrant. The colors are beautiful. Again, like, take away from all the action stuff, the dance, like that we were talking about earlier, the dance scene, which is essentially, it is like an early 2000s like MTV video in terms of like, it just looks so slick. Like, the colors in that scene alone are just mind blowing. Like, they were so beautiful.
Yeah, and they're throwing around the coloured paint powder like you've probably seen on innumerable adverts for that part of the world. Yeah.
The powders thrown around, and it just, because I wouldn't describe this beautiful film, because it's really in a lot of places really hammy and really cliche.
Yes,
but they fucking lean into it in such a degree that you just can't fault them. Like, there's no point where they're trying to sort of hide what this is. This is an action film that takes itself seriously whilst not taking itself seriously at all. Like, yeah, and it's such a fun ride. Like I say, it's long. It's long.
Some people might argue that it has one too many acts in it.
Yeah.
But it is like, at the same time that it's like an homage to every John Woo movie, it is also like Schwarzenegger's Commando or something like that, where it's just like, there's just a bit where he's driving a Jeep with like a chain gun on the side of it, just mowing people down who are like in a line.
It's incredible.
There's so many like men used as human shields for bullets, or like people running around not shooting the heroes. It's ridiculous in the best way.
Even when they're doing that, they're like, we ripping the shit out of it, but it's really thought through. So the twists that come in the second half, they have really seeded the information that you need to get that without making that a really big thing. Like, there's, again, I don't want to spoil it because I really want to encourage people to watch this if they haven't. But there's a trait. No, I'm not even. It's not even a trait. But something happens. Something happens, and you forget about it, and it becomes such a big thing, and it's incredible. Like, they really know where it's going. But like I say, all the action set pieces, they don't care about realism. They just want the action to look good. So there's this car chase scene on the Arctic where it's just perfectly flat snow, and it's designed for nothing else than to have trails of snow come behind it.
Yeah, it just looks fucking cool.
The final fight, by the way, is brilliant.
The final fight, I think, is for me the highlight of this movie.
Absolute highlight. Also, I don't know when this became a thing. I think this is definitely for Hong Kong cinema, the 90s, but there's definitely a thing in action films now. The Matrix did this, where they just suddenly walk into an old, dilapidated, dusty building. Yes. And the whole reason is to get dust on them, so when they move, it looks cooler.
Yeah. Also, you can smash apart all the old stone and all that sort of thing.
Destructible
It's interesting
backgrounds.
that I think this came out before Raging Fire, and yet the finale of both of these movies happen in like an old abandoned church. And there's a lot of similarities.
An old abandoned church in the middle of the Arctic.
In the Arctic, yeah.
By the sea, with nothing else around.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how they got to the church. It just looks fucking cool now that they're in this massive like studio set of a church that they can smash the shit out of. I mean, obviously, John Woo's The Killer is like the ultimate finale, takes place in a church movie that I think everyone bows down to, unless we're counting The Graduate. I suppose that has a quite shocking ending in a church as well.
To wrap up on War, though, I
Yeah.
would just say that give it a watch and know that you'll have a great time along the way, but it is leading to one of the greatest death blows I've seen in a long time. The kill move is, and you know it's coming, and it is beautiful. It is.
Yeah, that is a every frame a painting moment where
Yeah.
that just wide shot, and you're just like, I mean, that just looks fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it anymore. I would say go in knowing nothing apart from what we've said. Like, you know, have a few drinks, get a few friends, popcorn, whatever it is, and find it on Amazon Prime.
Great
slightly nerdy note, and I'm intrigued as to why this is the case. But there are several language versions of this as different movies on Prime. Not just you can switch the language, you know, like you can on Netflix through different dubs or whatever, because there's like a Hindi version and then like a Telugu version. If anyone knows the answer as to why they're all listed as separate entire films rather than just being able to switch languages.
I didn't notice that. I know that's becoming a trend from a lot of international things. Certainly more in TV. Like, there's a show about Vikings on Netflix. I can't remember what it's called, but it's brilliant. It's very funny, and the name's gone from my head.
Norsemen.
Yes, it's so close to it. Yeah, they shoot back to back in both Norwegian and English.
Right. Well, that actually was going to be my question: is do they shoot it in two languages?
I have no idea, but I know that's become more of a thing. But I mean, like a lot of Bollywood films, like most Bollywood films, are in Hinglish anyway, which is like primary language for a lot of the big cities. Out there. Like there is that sort of combination of it. But I think like it is becoming definitely a thing where they are doing different versions, and this is everyone but us in America because we just think, English language. But it's definitely becoming more of a thing where people are thinking about selling it internationally.
Yeah, and I think definitely with this is why basically I've decided to delve into this world now, because it seems in the last 5 to 10 years that the budgets, the production values, and the kind of the international eyes on these movies have gone up massively, such that suddenly we're noticing them, and the quality of the movies and the action in them has gone up, and it again
we really sound like where we're from now. Again, the biggest movie industry in the world. Yeah, they're actually making some good films now.
I know, and that's not what I wanted to come across as. Obviously, like if you're a person who's grown up watching Indian movies, then we sound like two arseholes, and I'm sorry.
One of us sounds like an arsehole.
Matthew's trying to cover his back. I feel like I put out my disclaimer at the beginning. What I will say is that both of these, and we can seg into SANAK now, because both of them do remind me of the sort of golden age of Hong Kong cinema, and that kind of like they've still got that like light in their eyes, and there's like an imagination and an inventiveness, and people are just like doing shit because it looks cool, because for the moviness of it.
The choreography and the fight scenes in both these films are like top tier. Like the hand-to-hand stuff is brilliant. It is absolutely incredible. It's so slick. Like, it's so slick, you don't see the joints of, like, the choreography. And it's like, they're clearly all just great. They're ripped as fuck, and they want to kick each other. Like,
yeah, they look amazing. They can do martial arts. They can dance. I don't know if they do the singing or they're miming to someone else singing. Either way, it's like a triple, quadruple threat, all of these guys. Speaking of another incredibly good-looking, ripped to shreds guy, let's talk about Vidyut in SANAK. Now, this one, you can watch it in the UK on Hotstar, which is a sort of platform for Indian movies. You can watch it in the US on Hulu, I believe. You've all got the internet. You'll be able to find it on whichever streaming service you want. This one did come out last year, so this is sort of the headline title, if you like, or as we call it.
And now, our feature presentation.
Dodge this.
That was me pressing the jingle button. I feel like I've got to make a new jingle for like a double feature presentation now. I haven't got time.
A matinee, is it?
Yeah. I feel like this one, plot-wise, Matt, is going to be a lot easier to sum up.
It's Die Hard in a hospital.
Yeah. That's it. He's done it.
It is.
And
when
when we say it's Die Hard in a hospital, it's not a bit like Die Hard in a hospital. It is almost beat for beat the plot of Die Hard
in a
mapped
hospital.
onto a hospital. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't mind that. I mean, there's been a lot of like, anytime you contain an action film where it's one guy against X amount of people in a contained space, it's going to be Die Hard. It's like a really common formula. But for all it's being a Die Hard in a hospital, it really is its own thing as well. I really love this film. Like, I really, really enjoyed this film. I read some reviews going into it just when I was like reading up on it and stuff without trying to spoil it. And there's not many reviews over our way for it, so there wasn't much on Rotten Tomatoes. But one of the complaints, like in this sort of, you know, when you get the little pull quote on Rotten Tomatoes, was pretty much like the action plods along at a slow pace. And I could disagree more. I think they have about 20 minutes of setup at the beginning where, and I like this, they really make you understand that. So ultimately, I can't remember what the character's name is called now. It's Vivian, isn't it? Vivian. Oh God. Vivian.
Vivan sounds better. Vivian.
Yeah. Vivian. Why did I say
like
Vivian? I got the letters in my head. I was like, Vivan. It is Vivan. That is an insight into how my brain tries to get to words.
You did so well, Matt, and now you're cancelled, unfortunately, for saying the name of an Indian character wrong.
I would argue we cut this half of the podcast entirely. And but Vivan, he basically, they set up this relationship, and it's not a spoiler to say there's a reason why he's going to the hospital. It's for his wife, and they don't just sort of push you in there and go, his wife's in hospital, that's why he's there. They really give you a good sort of build up to like how much he loves her and what their relationship is. I think they've got really good chemistry on screen. I really like the way they present their relationship. So like,
a lot of movies like this start out like with showing us how hard the main guy is. Like, you know, like if he's because they casually just throw in that he's like an MMA trainer, but instead of just showing him doing MMA, that is just like a throwaway line. And then instead they spend 5 minutes doing sort of a montage of them being in love.
Yeah, it's great. It's really nice.
It's a very unique approach.
But then I can see why people, because I had that feeling going into the film. I was like, oh, they're really focusing on this like emotional stuff. I was like, and I'd seen that blurb. I was like, oh, maybe it is like a slow sort of plodding. But as soon as they get to the action, so there's a bit where it all goes Die Hard.
It's not set at Christmas, of course.
It's not. But there is like that bit where exactly the same. The baddies come, they take over the building very subtly, very slickly. And then there is where they put Vivan against his first opponent. And it's in a parking lot, a garage.
In a parking garage.
Parking garage.
It's in a car park, Matt.
Yeah, it's in a car park. And it is a brilliant hand-to-hand bit, and it sets the tone for what's about to come. Because
it does really nicely, doesn't it?
Because when I watched this, I realised, actually, this has more action than Die Hard, because they concentrate on, like, there's a really good thing. So he's not an ex-cop, John McClane, and they do this really, like, we need to let the audience know why he's so good at fighting. So it's very, very in your face.
Very clunky, you could argue.
Don't go all MMA. Like, so he's an MMA trainer. So he's a mixed martial artist trainer. So we know he can fight. So what they do really well is fighting is his thing. When he fires a gun, he looks like he's never fired a gun. Like, it's really well done. So like, he will fire the gun in a sort of crossfire, but when it comes down to the action, he will always go to fighting. And it's got, again, that sort of thing that me and Simon love. The environment is key to this film. So whichever thing they go to, it is usable. There is nothing in the background that isn't possibly at play. And what they've done, which I love about this, is they've gone, it's Die Hard in a hospital. What's in a hospital? And every action scene very organically leads to a place where you're suddenly like, oh my God, there's a bit where they use babies as jeopardy. like as a real like get
That's
under your
true.
skin, hurry this fight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of John Woo, very, very like the finale of Hard Boiled when there's all the babies in the incubators.
Yeah.
And he has to rescue one. Yeah. And I think if War sort of was praying at the altar of John Woo, then there is no doubt that this is worshipping at the altar of Jackie Chan. And they're not pretending that.
Jackie Chan and Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, in what sense?
It's directly referenced Spider-Man, but there are some direct Tobey Maguire Spider-Man bits.
Really?
Yeah, so they have one when he crawls under some shelves. Like, it's not a spoiler.
Yes.
And he crawls exactly as Tobey Maguire Spider-Man crawls. But also, there's a bit where he hides above this guy, and he holds himself like when Tobey Maguire's hiding from Willem Dafoe in his apartment, and there's a drop of blood. And the guy turns around and looks up. And that's exactly what happens in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
That is very interesting. I watched an interview with Vidyut, the star of this, who is like a huge Indian action star now. And he is trained in this super like historical Indian martial art called, I think it's called Kalripe, something like that. And
is that what the arms thing is?
The crawl thing. We'll get to the arms. We'll get to the arms. The crawl thing where he goes under the shelf. Like, it does look really Spider-Man-y, you're right. Yeah. But apparently it's just really, really hard to do that.
Well, this is the thing.
And that's why it looks so weird. I'm doing it now as if anyone at home can see me doing it.
I wondered if he had a trolley underneath him because it looks so slick but unnatural.
Yeah.
I didn't know if he was pulling himself
an
along.
Absolute ninja.
Yeah, he is like, his fighting is so good. But yeah, I mean, there's a fight in a physio studio, and it's my favorite fight in the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that is the scene that owes the most to Jackie Chan.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the most, Jackie Chan.
The choreography on this was done by a guy called Andy Long out of Germany and his stunt team, and he's got an incredible story. He was basically a guy who grew up idolizing Jackie Chan and sort of followed him around for a bit, and eventually, I haven't joined the dots, but got his attention. Ended up joining the Jackie Chan stunt team for a whole bunch of time, and is now his own stunt team. So there is like a direct lineage from this movie to Jackie Chan, and none more so than in a fight that, for the reason that it is cool, takes place in the physiotherapy room of a hospital, replete with inflatable balls and elastic bands and weights. And for a movie that is about terrorists taking over a building, and there's a lot of civilian casualties. It is borderline comedic, cartoonish, that scene, but so well choreographed.
It's so slick that, again, it's so slick. Like, it's my favorite thing about action films. I've talked about this when we were talking about Rage and Fire, but I love watching our hero sum up his odds and how he fights in a situation, and this film does it really well. So like, everything is just winging it on the cuff, and it never feels like the film's pushing you from one place to another. And it's a really slick, like, it's a 2-hour film, but it goes like, once it goes. You just stick with it. It's absolutely brilliant.
And I think on a budget scale, this is like a fifth of War, probably, or whatever. Like, you know, when they're not flying around the world, they're not blowing up cars and helicopters.
Well, we're not sure War was flying around the world, if we're honest.
That's true. Maybe they were both filmed in the same green screen studio. I don't know. But yeah, it's very contained within that one location.
The other thing that I like about this, that a lot of these types of films do really badly, is they manage to contain the baddies in the building without interference in a really good way. So they managed to keep the police out of the building in a very, very sort of like, I can see what's happening now. I can see it,
I will say, much like with War, the sort of emotional brush strokes are very heavily laid on in this movie. Like, the reason that the police don't go on, I don't think there's any spoilers to say there's like a police chief, and in like one sentence you hear that she has a daughter, and then maybe 20 seconds later the daughter is in huge amount of peril. Like, it serves you up that sort of emotion and like high drama in a sort of 1930s sort of swashbuckling movie star way.
It's great.
And I guess that is, I don't want to generalize because I haven't seen enough movies, but those are things that are very heavily laid on in both of these. And if any of the trailers that we've seen for other Indian movies or anything to go by, these are, cultural touch points of sort of epic Indian cinema.
Yeah, I mean, I really want people to watch this film. I really think like it's got everything going for it. It's a really weird one because until you told me about this film, I'd not heard it. It just completely bypassed my radar.
Well, I think it just hasn't really had much of an international release. It was one that kind of cropped up on Twitter.
Yeah.
A few people mentioned it, and I think it's kind of slowly working its way around, but it's still fairly contained at the moment. It needs a Netflix or a Prime Video kind of vibe, I think.
Does feel like it is on the level with when The Raid came out. In a weird way, like The Raid for different reasons, because The Raid was mind-blowing. It just reinvigorated that sort of genre. But I don't think it's off kilter to say, like, the fight scenes with a bit more of a cheeky wink in them are up there with some of the best I've seen in a long time. Like I'm probably gushing too much about this. But.
Yeah, I think I don't want to like blow too much smoke up this. I really enjoyed it, and I do think like as a gateway to Indian action cinema, I think people coming from Western cinema, this is an easy sort of step across. It's Die Hard. It's in a hospital. It's martial arts. It's gunplay. It does all that. And if you're put off by like quote unquote the idea of people singing and dancing, there isn't any until you think the movie's over. and then they throw in that little cheeky song and dance number over the credits. Fair play to them.
Also, just that was a beautiful wrapping up. But I don't want this podcast to go away without mentioning the psychotic kid, who's a sub-character in this.
Yes, a kid who's learned everything from video games and proves very useful.
If you like your films with a kid who, for some reason, is a little bit terrifying, but so useful, they really do it well. There's like some sidekicks in this, and they really tie it in together. Like it's one of those films that its action scenes are beautiful, but now and then they need a place to go to discuss what's next and what's happening to keep the momentum. And it's done in a very organic way. It's not very like ham-fisted in or anything, but the characters they've got to essentially do that. The Sergeant Powells of exposition in this.
The cops get pretty short shrift, I will say. I will say for both of these movies, everything is played pretty on the nose. There's not a lot of like gray area in anything. This is actually a question that I wanted to ask earlier, which also reminds me of Hong Kong movies, and I suspect is potentially a historical minefield, is how come so much of the dialogue is in English?
But that was, like I said earlier, that's Hinglish, which
right.
It's not for the films. It's a cultural thing, which is I don't know the history. I assume it's partly to do with the British Empire and stuff. But Hinglish is a combination of Hindi and English. I think it's, if I'm this is me sifting my brain. I think it's more common in the north than the south, but basically in a lot of the cities and a lot of the more modern areas of India, certainly in the bigger cities, it's just the main language. There's like I think India. This is again, I'm reaching here. I think India has the second biggest population of English speakers in the world. And I think Hinglish is the combination of Hindi and English.
My question is just what dictates which lines are in English and which lines are in Hindi?
I think it's really organic. I think for us, because we're English, we notice the English ones pop out. But I don't.
I suppose.
I don't think it is a case of
choosing.
I select that. I think it's just the way that language has evolved.
Very interesting. It's very interesting to watch as an English speaker. And it did just remind me of Hong Kong movies when suddenly they would. Admittedly, I think in the Hong Kong stuff, it was usually like in the police. So maybe there's like years and years of systems in place so that people just say yes, sir, and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
regardless of whether they're speaking, Cantonese or English. And yes, all of this is unpleasantly drenched in the British Empire, and I can only apologise for that.
Mate, just don't apologise. I don't think it was on you, the British Empire, Simon. But
No, I know, but I don't want to like wade in here like an idiot. It's like, how come they speak English? What's that all about?
I think if you've stuck it to this point in the podcast, you don't need to hear from me and Simon. We don't know enough about the history ourselves, but as far as the films go, I could safely say that like this has opened up my heart to Bollywood action. Like, this is something that I'm so glad, because I've been putting it off for so long. And again, please, if you are listening and this is your genre, push some good films our way.
Yes, line up some good ones for us,
like
please.
Simon, I want to watch these, but I don't want the shit. Like, I don't have the time for those. Like, it's all right.
Yeah.
I just
Cream of the crop only, please.
whatever you think, like, oh my God, this is the one you will love. And like, I'd love to see, because both of these have a big martial arts background, I'd love to see like the heat of Bollywood cinema. And I do, please send over, I know I've seen clips of them, all those big sci-fi ones and stuff that have action. Send those my way.
Not for the podcast, just for Matthew.
They are just for me, generally. But yeah, I mean, like, this is like, what I want from this is now, especially going forward with this podcast, if there's some big releases coming out, I've got a lot of nerdy stuff like come through, but not a lot of this hits my radar, so I will be looking out for it. But if you see something that you're like, you guys are gonna watch this, tell us, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like in terms of library stuff, that is just great for us to know more about the place and the genre. But in terms of up and coming stuff, even better, because this podcast is to some extent sort of topical, and we try to look at the new releases. Obviously, War came out a few years ago. That was our gateway. I keep saying gateway because it's such a beautiful gateway to the Pandora's box of Bollywood cinema. But yeah, please, if you are into Bollywood, educate us, because clearly, we goddamn need it. But in terms of a start, I can't think of a better way to start than with these two movies.
Yeah, and like we said at the beginning, like, such top end examples of the same genre, but so polarized. Like, yeah, it really is like, because I watched them both in 24 hours, and the way I enjoyed them was so different.
Right. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but do you, like, however you want to consume your movies.
I'm so tired. But yeah, like, War, very much big, cheesy, wink and a smile, sort of, this is, everything's hammy, but everything, it's sort of that 90s Arnie cinema. I think it's got
so many rippling pecs and biceps.
It's got a lineage from that sort of action film, if you want to use Western comparisons. But yeah, like we said, to use Hong Kong comparisons, Die Hard, if Die Hard evolved from Hong Kong cinema, if you never had Die Hard and it came out of Hong Kong cinema, this somehow made its way over to India. This is the film that you got.
Yeah, and Vidyut has he's nailed the sort of Jackie Chan surprise look. I think he's never like the hard guy who's like, I'm gonna fucking kill these guys. He's always has that like look of sort of surprise whenever he gets hit in the face. That thing where Jackie Chan does, where when he gets hit in the face, he sort of like rubs his nose, and it's like, ugh! And then like runs back into it. He's very much nailed that, in spite of the fact that he looks like He-Man. Like, he's so good in this film.
But again, like, I can't wait to see what he does, because again, like you said moments ago, he's a star on the rise. Like, he's come to from just, again, very quick, you search his name and it comes up. Like, he's obviously like becoming one of the biggest action stars in India, and again, he's obviously going to do some massive films coming up. And I can't wait.
He's got the pedigree, he's got the training, and also like he's grown up in this world of international cinema, watching Tony Jaa and Jackie Chan and like Scott Adkins, and you can see that in so much of the stuff he does. Where like I've seen clips of his other movies where he's like, that bit where Tony Jaa jumps through the open car window. I'm gonna do that, and then just puts it in a movie. Yeah, I can't wait to see what he does next.
I hope our enthusiasm has carried over here, because I don't think there's much more to add other than
the action replay moment from SANAK. It's gotta be the flappy arms.
The flappy arm. He does this thing with his arm.
What is it?
Yeah, that is up there because I've seen that in other things and I can't remember where. So I think that is.
He just does a thing where it's like the thing I talked about before, where Henry Cavill loads his arms up in that bathroom.
He loosens them up to wind.
He does a thing where he wangs his arms around in slow motion, and it looks incredible. Also, I have one question that we haven't even touched on this movie, which is just such a level of madness that you just have to watch it. Is he diabetic?
Oh, yeah.
What is that plot point?
I think so. Yeah, there is a big plot point.
They just don't even explain it.
They don't. I thought I'd missed something. I meant to ask you about that because I thought
his heart beats and he has to eat something.
I think anxiety triggers an acidic reaction in him that requires alkaline to heal. And that is all I'm going to say on that because I don't want to spoil that scene. But yeah, unbelievable. But yeah, either the arms thing for the action replay or the someone throws I think it's a kettlebell or a weight at him and he holds up a Swiss aerobics ball and it bounces back. And it is so slick.
Amazing. Good. And for War, I think there's probably 10 slow motion moments that make no sense but that just look incredible. Maybe I'll find them and I'll post some of them on Twitter just so you can see.
Doing a worm over a lying sweep is incredible. These guys can get to their feet in ways I can't imagine. It's incredible.
I can't believe how old Hrithik is. It's offensive. And also, there's still hope for us, Matthew. We've got to wrap this up. We fitted 2 absolute bangers into this episode.
Yeah.
And I promise next time will be 1 film so that we can wind this podcast back down to being sub 1 hour. If you want to find us on the social medias, I'm Simon Fielder on everything, Twitter, Gram, wherever else you like to hang out. Matthew?
Just at Matt Titan on Twitter. It's Matt Titan on Instagram. That's all you need to know. But yeah,
that's all.
If you've got a film you think is coming up this year that looks good, let us know.
Yes, please. Some of the ones that aren't on the big Top Gun Roland Emmerich list, some of the new up and comers, maybe from outside the US, would be very excited to see what's on the radars from other parts of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if it completes the trinity of cars, guns, fists.
That's what we should have called the podcast. Cars, guns, fists.
That would have a very different audience.
Yeah, that is true. Oh, God. It feels like time to fade in the music, Matthew.
Yeah. I'll keep talking. The music
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.